Y'all too smart, can't talk from the heart. I got sauce and it's all for the charts. No aux in the car. Riding around bumping that first blueprint on this. I ain't trying to hear what the info is. I been trying to move on the impulsive tip. Do you want dip? I can tell you ain't having that much fun. 3 years in with your ex-boyfriend, y'all tied that knot, but it's back undone. Oh yeah, I'm trying to stack 1 ton. You ain't gotta ask where that come from. I ain't never rock no pack, son. I was on the pack at the mall, same mess. I skip class, no hallway pass. I'm team cap, you was always last. She got good hands in the all-state. I got good kids and they all came fast. I ain't gotta say it, you can come to the village. Just ask who's hot, they gon' all say Jack. Told me stay down, but I always have. When I come around, man, they always ask, how does it feel? Whoa. Ain't shit, tell me it's a walk in the park. Y'all too smart, can't talk from the heart. I got sauce and it's off the charts. Started my night with the light. When I got to the club, I was off for the dark. And I'm on a wave like a dolphin, a shark. Y'all took shots, they was off for the mark. Keep it raw from the start.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the season preview of Tigers Tonight. I'm your host, John Maddox, and with me, as always, the best co-host in all the land. We will start with the gentleman at the palatial Marley Manor here in beautiful, scenic, crime-free Hernando, Mississippi. Larry, how in the world are you, sir?
Well, I'm at home, and that's great because next week I probably won't be. But no, you're right. This is the best time of the year because finally we're at week 0, which is week 1, but whatever. It's week 0, and we have college football every weekend between now and January, and it's just the best. Right?
And not only that, but there's also, don't forget, college basketball. This will be the last Saturday, was the last Saturday without college sports until April the 11th. Mr. Brian Moss, how does that make you feel, sir?
Oh, giddy! I'm pretty excited. Can't wait. I had to put in my notice to the family that I won't be available for quite some time.
It's all over. Hope they enjoyed the few weeks they had us. All right. So Memphis is set to kick off actually a week from Saturday, but we do have week 0 games coming up. Let's see. Let me pull up the week 0 schedule. It should be a hate crime that my favorite game for rivalry is playing this week in Dublin, Ireland. Kansas State and Iowa State, their rivalry is called Farmageddon. There is no world where that should be played anywhere other than one of the 2 campuses, or I had this whole field of dreams idea with that. But anyway, I digress. And then you got a bunch of smaller games. Fresno State at Kansas is going to be a sneaky good game. Sam Houston, Western Kentucky getting Conference USA started off. Stanford's at Hawaii. Fresno State, Kansas. Idaho State opens at UNLV to start the Dan Mullen era. But I think week 0, guys, is more about a celebration of there being actual football games that count on our television. It's not even really the people that are participating. It is more, Larry, that there is actual football that counts.
Right. And of course, we've talked about on this show many, many, many times how this is the longest off season for any sport. And I think that's one of the things that makes, and I was thinking about this week, that's one of the things that makes college football so special. And why people, and I think it's hilarious because people do go, I miss college football. I miss college football. You say that, and then the second the game starts, you go, I hate my team. I hate my life. I hate everybody, and it's just true, right? And here's the thing that for the players, right? The one thing that you love is playing against somebody else, because all you get to do, for the most part, is hit your teammates. Right, over and over, the same people, over and over and over. And when you finally get to play someone else, A, the adrenaline's out of sight, and B, it's just nice to be out there playing somebody else, somebody that you're actually, you don't know exactly what they're going to do, right? And there's a lot of enjoyment to that. So, guys, what you should see is a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. Everybody's undefeated right now.
All right, Brian. So let's kind of kick things off here. We're going to go through what is no longer the AAC. We're just the American now, right?
American,
Yeah.
American.
Right. Let's see. Let's So we will start with you. Give me. We're going to kind of jump around what I said in text because of course we are, because it wouldn't be me if we didn't do that. So let's start with this is really funny. When I'm looking at the standings, Temple is on top of the AAC standings right now. My first bold prediction and hot take, that's not how it's going to end for Temple. But with that being said, give me, Brian, your most likely AAC champion and maybe a dark horse, and or then maybe somebody you'd be really surprised. And Memphis cannot be any of those three teams.
The most likely to win the league. Well, if I can't pick Memphis, I will pick Tulane. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not confident. Like I do the confidence meter at a 1.5. I mean, I'm like a 2.5. Um, Dark horse, I will go South Florida, and I wouldn't be surprised if UTSA won.
Larry?
You totally suck because you took the exact teams. Okay. I'm going to agree with you on Tulane. I think this is a Memphis Tulane, most likely, depending on how Memphis plays. We're going to talk about that later. But in terms of just pure talent, those are probably your two best teams, right? But in terms of dark horse, you took mine, which was USF, but I'll go Navy because I if they can build on what they had last year, that team, especially late in the year. I know Army actually won, but I'll take Navy. I think that team could pop up and win the whole thing.
All right, so my most likely, not Memphis, is Navy. I'm not buying Tulane anymore. I'm
We
not
broke
buying
them.
it. I'm for them. I mean, because here's what you're going to have probably, and this is a guess. Like everything is this time of year, right? Like everything's a guess. I think that they are going to be in a similar area where they were last year in regards to Coach Summerall. He's going to be up for another job. You'll never convince me, although several Tulane people tried, that did not have an impact on the Memphis game and then on the AAC title game. You'll never convince me of those things that did not have an impact. Dark horse, North Texas. Watch out for North Texas because they can really score, and this is a scoring league. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Army won. That would not shock me if one of the service academies won. I wouldn't be, really surprised. All right, who's going to be Larry? We'll start with you. Who's going to be the worst team in the league?
Well, the problem here is, boy, this is really a race to the bottom. And let me just be very clear. We got some bad teams. I think you're going to see one of four. Okay, to me, UAB isn't getting any better. I'm sorry. I have no idea what Charlotte's trying to do. Um, Tulsa, I don't know what's going on there. But
Neither
guys,
do they.
yeah, but guys, I'm going to tell you, Temple of the Dog is just bad, and it's not getting any better. I mean, I don't know. the change. So we talked about how for Tulane the change in how you recruit and the NIL and all that has had a huge benefit to Tulane, right? I think they've benefited as much as anybody in the country. But Temple and Tulsa and probably Rice have been affected negatively.
The other way, yeah.
Yeah, it's just horrible. They're just horrible. Anyway,
Brian?
For me, yeah, I'm going to go Tulsa. I mean, it could be a toss up for the same teams. He said, Charlotte, Temple, or Tulsa. But I think Tulsa is worse off than all of them. And when I'm not too thrilled, with their schedule either. When you take a look at their schedule, let's see here real quick. Let me pull it up because
it ain't easy.
no, I mean because they have Navy, Tulane, Memphis. I mean you have three and Army, so you have four heavy hitters there, and I just don't see them winning any of those games. And quite frankly, they may only have one win in the conference this year. I mean, it's possible they can have more because they have UAB and they have Temple. But yeah, when I look at it, it just I don't think I think that's a. I mean, they're going to need a lot. I mean,
Yeah, and Larry brings up a great point about NIL impacting them because, when the whole NIL thing came out, a lot of people were very distraught about Memphis's position. And I took the totally opposite thing to say, we're going to greatly benefit from it because Memphis is in a prime geographical location. There's several large companies here. It's going to be okay. But I have friends that are associated with Tulsa, and they were like, we should just shut down because we're not going to be able. We don't have the industry. We don't have the large company. We're such a small school.
Yep.
All those things working against them. I mean, that this may still be true, but they have for the longest time been the smallest by enrollment FBS member, and so that really hurts them. And it the thing, and I say this about Rice, and I say it about Tulsa, Charlotte to a lesser extent, because I think Charlotte, with the right coach and the right system, um, they have financial
The right
resources. They have all
administration.
and the right set of circumstances, like frankly Memphis had, guys. I mean, let's think about that. Can you imagine if this is circa 2005? If this is 20 years ago, where Memphis was from an administrative perspective, but I think Charlotte has got a chance to kind of capitalize. UAB could honestly capitalize if they could get out of their own damn way and fire the worst coach in the conference, but that's neither here nor there. Which leads me to my last AAC question. How many openings are there at the end of the year in the AAC? Brian, we will start with you.
I think there's a bunch of new coaches this year. I will openings. Just
This can be
complete
either
openings.
way.
Yeah,
This can be
because of
either way.
firings and coaches leaving. I'm going to go actually on the low side and say 3.
So I've got probably two firings. Because how long has it been since Tulsa's turned over?
They just got a new one, right?
Just year one, year two. I'll go 4 because I think. Do I dare say it? I think Tulane will be open.
Yep.
UAB is the shoe in, right? Like
I
that's
think so.
Yeah, Tulsa's Trey Lamb. This is his first year.
Yeah. If USF turns things around, I think he's a hot commodity, and I think Ryan would be a pretty hot commodity at the end of the
He
year.
will be.
And then maybe who's East Carolina?
But didn't they just fire their coach?
Well, but if he wins this year, because see, that's the other thing I think you're seeing in leagues like the AAC is, I'm sorry, the American. Old habits die hard. Power four, power 2.5 teams, they have to move quickly. They can't afford to, they can't afford to wait for John Summerall to go 10-2, 11-1, 12-0, 10-1. Like they can't afford to wait for that. He goes 9-3, 11-1, makes the conference title game. He's gone because Kentucky can't wait because they can't afford to fall too far behind. So they have to just throw money around basically. Um, then, if you're, I don't know, I'm trying to think, Oklahoma State, and so you move on from Mike Gundy reaches a handshake, we'll part our ways mutually. If you want Ryan, you got to go get him. You can't, if Ryan goes 9-3 this year, you can't let that deter you. You have to go and get your guy because again, you can't afford to fall way behind. So that's why I think you'll see more openings if East Carolina, let's say they go 10-2, their coach is going to get snatched up because these teams they're just going to go, oh well, Mississippi. Although I don't know that they're ready to fire what's his name yet, but Mississippi State's like, we can't wait. We've got to go get John Summerall. We've got to go get Ryan. We've got to go get whomever we're going to get. Now we can't wait
Well, I
for
mean,
the jury to be out.
Auburn, right?
Auburn's going to open. Yep.
Right. So let's talk about that. I'm just going to use them as an example. To your point, Auburn would be a prime candidate to hire John Summerall, right? A guy who knows the area, who worked in Alabama a long time. So if he has another good year, which he should, he is going to be hot, right? And if you're Auburn, you can't wait to see if he
Kentucky
is
goes
flash
after
in
him.
the pan. Well, right,
Right.
you got to because it's hard to tell, right? Who's what. Um, so if you're again to your point, and I'm going to tell you, I think you're right. I think there's 5 or 6 actually. Um, I think Summerall probably his days are numbered there. Ryan's going to get some hard looks for some people, assuming this year goes anything like what it should. Um, what about the coach at Navy? I mean, let's say Navy goes and they go 9-3.
I think Navy and Army are just different. I think
I,
the guys that are there
yeah,
are
but
there.
Ken,
Now,
but Coach Ken left, and he's at San Jose State, right? Am I crazy?
yeah,
Some
but he was at Navy for
a long time.
17 years, something like it was a ridiculous. But I think and Brian, I mean, I think those guys are just different, right? I think that's just a different job. It's just
Yeah, and he didn't
you're a
leave
light.
Navy to go to another position. Wouldn't he? Didn't he either step down or was he fired?
No, he was let go, but the point
Yeah,
is he has since gone to San Jose
yeah.
and done fairly well. I I,
But
I
I just
just
think it's a
wonder.
different world.
Well, but here's where I'm going with this. I just wonder if a high G5 school, a high level G5 school, or a low level power, what the heck ever they are now, school goes in and says, "Hey, look, maybe he could, maybe he can transition. What have we got to lose, right?" I mean, and that's just that's an interesting one. The USF guy, I think, is prime, and then you're going to start looking at some firings. I think Temple's probably going. I know Temple just hired someone a couple of years ago. I
Oh,
mean,
this year, I believe.
is it this year? Okay,
Yeah, there's
so
like 4 schools that have like first time
I
coaches.
know Charlotte. I know Charlotte's got a new coach.
FAU.
Fort
FAU's
Atlantic,
got it. Yeah.
Temple,
I
and
don't.
Tulsa.
Yeah, and so UAB for sure. I could easily see 5 or 6 coaches. Hey, if UTSA has a bad year, he was
I
going to
don't.
catch the heat last year.
Yeah, until whatever. Anyway, until all that happened. All right, so let's move from the AAC to Memphis. Coach Silverfield basically, Landon wrote an article about it. It's on the site. Basically, kind of walked through most of the depth chart. He is, and some of this I'm sure is coach speak, but when we asked him about it on whatever day, I guess it was yesterday, um, he's very excited about the depth. And I think that's one thing that Memphis fans are going to have to acquiesce to somewhat is I don't think Memphis, other than, maybe Sutton, but even that, you've got Sutton and you've got Greg DeRosier. Memphis is going to play 7 receivers this year. They have 7 guys that they are confident in. Um, so you're going to see more, he mentioned offensive line. He used the word by committee in several occasions on Monday that this is a deeper team. The offensive line is more athletic. They play more bodies. The quarterback position, Brian, you've talked about, it's much more dynamic this year. You can't just single in on a guy. You can't just say we're going to stop Sutton because Memphis is going to do a very unfair thing and they're going to put Sutton and Greg on the field at the same time. And you'll have Keontae Henry out there. You'll have Barham out there. You'll have Brady Cluse. You'll have Bryce Anderson at tight end. So you're going to have an abundance of weapons, including the quarterback. But I think that it's going to be important for Memphis fans to understand that I don't think we're going to have a guy, Brian. I don't think you're going to have a rusher that rushes for 1,300 yards. Or I don't think you're going to have a receiver with 80 catches. I think it is truly going to be by committee. And that's going to be something different that Memphis fans are going to have to adjust to this year.
Yeah, I think Sutton Smith can get over 1,000 yards, but can he get to the Daryl Henderson? What did Daryl have, like 1,800 yards or something like that? No, I think, I actually think Sutton can push 1,200, close to 13. I'm not sure he'll get over it, only because there's so many weapons that Memphis has on offense. He's not going to get the short yardage that maybe he would have if he played in Memphis's system and back in 2019, because Memphis has a short yardage guy. They have DeRosier coming out the back, for third downs or whatnot. So and just I'm really high on this Memphis offense. I think it's going to be one of the best offensive units in the American. To me, my only question, I'm not questioning depth, but the continuity of the defense. Can they put it together? And that's been, if you quite honest, that's been Memphis's Achilles heel for their you know 10 years or so.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say 10 years because what was it then? Barry Odom, what was it, 2015? Yeah,
Yeah,
2015.
10
That's
years. Yeah, it's been 10
10 years.
years.
Wow.
But
So,
yeah, and you lose Cortland Marsh for the year.
mhm.
He was out much of last year, and he was what we say, like 3 returning starters, and now you have 2. But I think there's so much depth, and I just think you don't have a Chandler Martin this year. You don't have a guy that's going to get 13 tackles in a game. You're going to have 4 guys that get 5 tackles. So you're going to get the same production, Larry, but it's going to look different. And from a fan perspective, you're going to have to adjust expectations. And I want to be clear, I'm not making excuses for Memphis if they go 9-3 or whatever. We'll get to that in a minute. But I'm not making excuses, but it's going to be different this year.
So when we talk about returning starters, we're talking about the starting 11. But football is played, especially on the defensive side, more or less you more or less have a starting 22, right? In this sense, so your starters, think about it like this. Your starters are going to play 2/3 of the game, maybe something like that. Maybe 60%, 65%. Your 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 backups are going to play a third or or more, 40% of the game. So now the difference is going to be in the fourth quarter, right? That's when we're going to see these. So what I'm saying is these guys that are going to be playing, it's not like they haven't been on the field. we're not playing true freshmen here. Well, we probably will, but I'm saying for the most part, we're going to be playing veterans, people that have played. They probably lettered last year. Most of them lettered and played in just about every game or most games, right? So let's don't get hung up necessarily on the starting, especially on defense, on the starting 11. You want to kind of focus on that two deep. That's what we talk about, that the two deep. The difference is it's that second now. Who's your backup? Those are the guys that have got to get some experience. Those are the guys that have got to play more because now your starters are still going to be your are going to be veterans, but that next group, Ryan's right. We got lots of depth. We don't have a lot of experience, and that's the difference. And so, what I'm looking for defensively is and I think that's why, um, our defensive coordinator talked about backing things off, right? Backing things down and having because um, you don't have guys that have played, you know, 100, 200, 300 snaps. And that's the trick. So what I'm going to say offensively, we can talk about the offense in a minute, but offensively, like that's its own beast because you have to have there's a lot of cohesion that has to go on. Your offensive line has got to coalesce, but on the defensive side of the football, it's all about being aggressive and knowing and playing your position and not getting out of position. And I'm going to say I think that to Ryan's point, we got lots of depth. We got a lot of talent. They just need to get, especially the backups, have got to get some experience.
Yeah, and Brian, I think one of the things people kind of don't understand sometimes is, yes, we're very talented. Memphis is exceptionally talented, probably most talented team in the league. But you can have 11 good players, but if they can't figure out chemistry and how to play together, then that's where it really becomes an issue. And that's offense, defense, Larry's favorite, special teams, whatever that is. That to me is the key is chemistry.
Yeah, and I mean, for Memphis to truly have a great year, in my opinion, they don't need to be. What were they last year? 60 something, I think defensively. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, 66th. Nationally on defense. They really, when I was taking a look back in 2022, I know that the record was only 7-6, but defensively, that was their best defense since the 2015 season. They were ranked 51st. If Memphis can have that output, a defense that's in the top 50, I think this could be a championship, college football playoff season for them. To me, everything hinges on the defense.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think but we also can't gloss over the concern that, Memphis doesn't have Rock Taylor. They don't have Demar Blankenship. They don't have some of the weapons. But who is Brennan Lewis going to be most comfortable with on 3rd and 7, late in the, midway, 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and you've got to have a first down? Who is going to be the guy that he goes to? Some people say it'll be Cortez. I think the season's just gonna have to play out.
Yeah, it'll
And
evolve because I think by the end of the season, Bryce Anderson may be one of his most important targets.
yeah,
Because I think Anderson is in that Sean Dykes type of mold of a tight end, where I mean he'll get those tough yardage.
and you can put him in the slot. You can
Hmm.
get him outside. I mean, I just at practice the other day, I closed my eyes and I was envisioning you'd have Bryce Anderson in the slot. You'd have Henry on one outside, Bram on the other outside, and Brady Cluse in the others like I said, be the Z.
Yeah.
What do you and Sutton in the back? What do you do with that? Like, okay, if it's not Brady Cluse, you put Greg out there. Defensively, what do you do with that? But then the flip side of that, and my other concern is, and Penny talks about this a lot with basketball. There's this many footballs to go around, and guys, one thing Ryan has done a really, really good job of, and the staff has done a great job of, is buy-in. The team is bigger than the person. But now you have so much talent. And so, Brian's guy, Keandre Henry, is from Purdue. Graham played at Colorado. Like, you've got guys that have played in big programs. Are they going to come to Memphis and all coalesce around one another? And the defense is littered with P4 transfers. So are these guys, are they in it in the right mindset? Are they going to come in and understand that this week it may be Henry, this week on third down it may be Anderson, next week it may be DeRosier? That was one of the benefits you had last year, is Seth had like 6 guys and they didn't all have to do it all the time. And think about it from that perspective. Memphis's offense was built at the beginning of the year entirely around Sutton Smith.
Yep.
The offense was his offense. He goes down, so now you have to adjust. And I think that's the big thing that Memphis did last year was they adjusted. But you've got a lot more personalities. You don't have the 4-year starter at quarterback, although you have Maiden back, and I think that's something that's underrated, having a backup that's been here before, because I've always been a proponent of, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but let's say it's Chattanooga and Brendan goes out there and lays an egg the first 3 drives, goes 1 for 7 for 9 yards or whatever it is. Well, Maiden's a guy that you can say, all right, Brendan, we're just going to settle you down. Maiden can go out there for a series or 2 and let Brendan kind of get his feet underneath him. So that's critical to have that backup, because, again, as Coach Silverfield, he wouldn't use the I word, but he said, we got to be confident enough in our guys that if, Brendan needs to tie his shoes, Maiden or AJ can go out there and play a series. But I think having somebody who's been in the system, and I think there's some depth at wide receiver too, right? Like, Brady Cluse has been here. You got other guys that have been here and they've been in the system, and they can. Ryan talks a lot about the right way, right? Like the Memphis way. He runs the program, and we've talked about this, very much like an NFL team. This is a very business-like organization. And that's different than what a lot of guys have done, but these guys can kind of, help them along with that. So, all right, Brian, we will start with you. Question number 1. I'll be surprised if, and this can be anything related to Memphis.
I would be surprised if Memphis, because when I first got this, I was thinking football in general, but it does have an American tie-in. So I'll do it that way, because I'm going to say I would be surprised if it is actually Boise State that gets the college football playoff. Because I feel it's someone going to be from the American. Whether when I take a look at Boise's schedule, they're going to have more than 1 loss. They're going to have, in my opinion, I think they're going to have more than 2 losses. And I just don't see, I know nationally everybody loves Boise State for being that pick. I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I think it's going to be someone from the American. So I would be surprised if it's not someone from the American.
Larry?
I would be surprised if the national champion is not somebody from the SEC or the Big Ten. I'd be very surprised.
That's easy money right there.
You didn't put any restrictions.
All right. I will be surprised if Kalen DeBoer is still the coach at Alabama next year. Okay. That's totally unrelated to Memphis, but I'll be surprised. But as far as Memphis goes, I will be surprised if Memphis is not in the AAC title game. Now, that may be 9-3 Memphis or 8-4 Memphis in the title game. I'm not saying they're going to go 12-1. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'll be surprised if they're not in the title game, because I just think at some point talent matters, right? And one thing not to be underrated, cohesion of a coaching staff. This
Mhm.
staff has been together in
Yep.
some shape. Now they've got, Jordan Hankins moved up, and you've had some guys. Charles Clark left, and you've had some guys move on. But your OC and your DC. Hankins is going into his second year. Cramsey's been here. This is year
The four.
5 for him. Will this be year 5? Something like that. Anyway,
Oh,
so you've
Cramsey?
got
This is
yeah,
year 5, yeah.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking
because
4, but I could
4,
be.
yeah,
yeah,
4
4 because Kevin Johns was here for Seth's freshman
first,
year.
yeah.
Yeah. So you look at that and you're like, oh, well, that matters at some point late in the season when you got to have a game. Your quarterback matters and your coaches matter. So I'll be surprised if Memphis is not in the AAC title game. And back to the Kalen DeBoer thing. I think he's a great coach. He's a fantastic coach. I just don't think he's the right coach for Alabama. But that's neither here nor there. Larry, we'll start with you. I won't be surprised if
I won't be surprised if. Oh, I will not be surprised if a UAB fires their coach before the end of the season, and B, I will not be surprised if Ryan doesn't either at least get an interview or take a a decent major job.
So you got me back because you took my 2. That's it. Because I was going to say, yeah, I would not be surprised. Not if. I won't be surprised when Dilfer gets fired. I'd say before week 6. But I will have to
what
go with
on
different.
around what you thinking like October 5th or actually October 10th is when they get fired, or
Yeah.
11th or 12th, somewhere through there.
I mean, I won't be, man. Yeah, I won't be surprised if. I mean, those are the 2 I had. Now I'm trying to think of on the spot of anyone. But yeah, I won't be surprised if you know Silverfield. And I do. I mean, he got some calls last year, in my opinion. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if they went anywhere, but there were interest. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes on an interview.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah, and I know I don't know if he'd be a great fit there, but I can see Auburn giving him a look.
God forbid, and
Don't take that
Godspeed
job.
whoever takes that job. Don't do it. It's a trap.
I don't think he'd take
Um,
it, but I think they would at least give him an interview.
To your point, Brian, I think UAB will be 1-5 going into that October 11th game at Florida Atlantic. If they lose that game, I don't think he coaches against Memphis.
Perfect. I won't be surprised if this is always tough because this is why I don't usually like to go last with these things. Um, I won't be surprised if the winner of the AAC has 2 losses. That will not shock me. I would not be stunned if
Mhm.
the team that wins the conference championship is, what that be, 11-2. I also would not be surprised that 10-3 gets it done. Um, I just think at the very top with Memphis, Tulane, Navy, Army, you, you've just got such a bunch right there. And South Florida maybe 9-3. Like I just think everything is your top. You're going to have such a massive separation. Now I
Uh,
think there's going to be
yeah, that's a good one because when was the last time there was a 3-way tie for the
Well,
AAC?
it was 2014, I believe
14?
it was,
14.
or
Well, now
15.
it was 2-way. It was Memphis. 14 was Memphis and Cincinnati,
Yeah, but
and
you
There
and you
was a
and
3-way
UCF,
sometime.
UCF,
yeah,
UCF, Memphis, and Cincinnati, 2014.
because that was that pre-championship game.
It was. It was
I don't. That's right. 'Cause
pre-championship.
we were. Yeah. So in Memphis, and like none of the three of them played each other. So,
Well, we no,
but
no. We lost to UCF.
that's right.
We lost UCF. UCF lost to Cincinnati. We beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's right. So it
Yeah,
was.
2014.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have that. I think you're just going to have a bunch at the top, and Brian, I think that's the only reason I would say, if Boise comes out of this 11-2, 12-1, I think they're almost a shoe in because, again, I'm not going to get on a tangent, but it's an invitation. It's a television product. It's an
Yeah.
invitational tournament. The media is super high on them right now. Um,
Of course,
I
I
just think
think
it's going to be hard to
I
overcome.
I think South Florida's going to beat them in that first game.
You know, they should. And but you look at that, and if you have the AAC champion is 10-3, and the loser is 9-4, and then you've got two or three other 9-4 teams. Like I think you are going to have a scenario where teams kind of beat up on each other, and very much like this is going to be very similar to what happens in the SEC, where you're going to have a bunch of teams at the top, and then everybody else is terrible.
Yep.
I think you're going to have a massive divide between the good teams, and you're not. I don't think you're going to have an East Carolina this year, which is a perennial 7-5, right? Like they're always, right there. I think you're going to have, and they're another one that's going to be up there. I think so. You're
Mhm.
going to have Memphis, Navy, Army, Tulane, East Carolina. Am I leaving anybody out? Maybe UTSA. So you're going to have six teams that are going to be within a game of each other, and then you're going to have everybody else that sucks. It may be
I
South
mean,
Florida.
North.
Like,
Did you say North Texas? Because I think they're
yeah, I mean, so again, you're going to have, all right, well, let's say you have seven teams that are between 8-4 and 10-2. Like you're going to have a bunch of teams because everybody, it's a little unbalanced. Everybody doesn't play everybody. So
right.
I just think that it's going to be a hot mess at the top. All right. Best case scenario, Larry, we will start with you. Actually, I'm going to call this ceiling for Memphis. And we're going to go game by game here in a minute.
I
But
know.
I want your ceiling.
9 wins. I look at that and I just maybe 10. I just think last year about how so many times just because we were veterans and we had been there and we didn't lose our cool, we were able to win games. Charlotte, you know, um, multiple games down the stretch where we won games. Um, I fear that we're we're not going to be able to do that every time. So I'm going to say 9-3.
Ryan?
This is best case, right?
Yes.
Yes.
11 wins, 11-1.
Ooh.
I don't think they go undefeated because I think if you beat Arkansas, which is very possible, I think there's a game in there where they'll slip up somewhere, whether it be, Tulane or Navy. But I think there's, yeah, to me, it's 11 wins because Memphis has the talent.
Hmm.
Gosh, here's what's not unusual. I'm going to go 10. I'm going to go right in the middle. Um, and like I said, we're going to go game by game here in a minute, but there are a couple of oopsie opportunities, I think, on the schedule. All right, Brian, we'll start with you. Worst case, the wheels fall off.
If the wheels fall off, I know what the odds makers have it at 8.5. To me, that's another. I would be surprised if Memphis only has 8 wins. So to me, I'm going to go worst case 8 wins, but I would be very, very surprised if that happens.
Larry, the wheels are off. The truck is on fire on the side of the interstate. What's the floor?
4, 7 wins. You
Yeah.
you you're you could theoretically lose one of those Georgia State Troy games. You lose to Arkansas. Um, you lose to South Florida. You lose to Tulane. You lose to Navy.
Yeah, I think the key here is going to be staying in the race because I think if you fall out of the race and you close, and we're going to get into this more here in just a second, but you
Right.
close with South Florida, Tulane, East Carolina, Navy. I think if you are out of it, let's say you lose to USF and you lose, and we'll talk about this in a minute, you lose on the road to FAU, and now you've got two conference losses and you're out of it, things could go south in a hurry. I don't think it's going to happen, but it is what it is. All right. So we're going to go game by game. Jonah Dillon and I talked about like, I hate this so much, but I feel like we always have to do it because every week is so dependent on the previous week. It's hard to
Yeah.
sit here. Like I was just
Right.
saying, like if you lose a game, you're not, and now you're two losses in, how does that impact? Or, Lewis, you figure out halfway through the year, he's not the guy, and so we got to make a change. Like there's so much interdependence. We're going to skip the first game. I think we're all in agreement. Memphis picks up a W over Chattanooga. So let's see. Let's go John B. Larry. All right. So 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. All right. Moving on. At Georgia State. First road test of the year. Part of the Tom Bowen Memorial Tour. Thanks a
Is this
lot,
the last
Isaiah.
one? Is this the last one of
Yeah,
Bowen?
it's the last of this crap.
Well, no, I think we've got an Arkansas State still
Mm.
on the books, I think.
I would, but
All right.
I don't mind that game. I don't mind that
That,
series.
we were talking about that waiting for the presser the other day. It's me and Wolo and Jeff Brightwell. If we're going to play those games, why are we not playing Arkansas State and Southern Miss? If we're going to play those games, why are we not playing them? I digress.
And and to the point, or middle, right? I mean, right. If you're going to do it, do a regional where your fans can go, and they get to, like in the case of middle, like you get to go to Nashville and hang out in Nashville for a weekend, or Arkansas State where you can. It's literally like a home game, or Hattiesburg where you can just go to New Orleans and hang out, right? If you're going to do it, give your fans somewhere to go. And that's because, as you and I have talked about now, that you do get to go to Atlanta with Georgia State. But going to Troy, Alabama, like that's – I'm sorry, John. God bless you for going.
All right, let's keep it on the field because I got thoughts. Georgia State, Brian.
To me, easy win. Good. I mean, I'd say something like 38-18.
Larry, Georgia State.
I like Memphis to win this game. That Georgia State has got some good players, but they just don't have the speed that Memphis does. Memphis should win this game.
September 13th, Troy, Alabama. I got
Wow.
feelings about this one, but Larry, I will start with you.
It's an 11 a.m. kick. I have been eyeing this game all off season because, guys, this scares the hell out of me. Guys, this is going to be a really hard game. Memphis should win it just on talent, but you're going to be coming back. Man, I don't know. I'll take Memphis, but it would not shock me at all if Troy doesn't win that game.
Brian.
I have Memphis winning easily, and here's the reason why. Who does Troy play the week before?
I haven't looked at their schedule enough.
At Clemson. I just think they're going to be beat up. I think Clemson's going to just really hurt them pretty good, and so I think Memphis comes in. Now, can it be close for a little bit? Sure. But I think, in the end, I think Memphis wins by at least 14, 17 points.
I'm going to split the difference. I think Memphis wins. I think it's going to be close because, when Memphis has elevated themselves as a G5 school. They have elevated them. They're in that upper crust of the G5. So when they go to places like Troy, it's not Troy's Super Bowl, but it's close. Memphis is I haven't delved into their schedule yet, but Memphis, I'm going to argue, is going to be the best team that they see all year in their stadium. Again, I haven't gone through because I don't think they have one of those weird like Missouri games going to UMass. I
No.
don't think they have anything like that. So, you know, you're on the road. It's a week before a game that you're going to be amped to play. It's a tough spot. It's an 11 a.m. kick.
Yep.
There's not going to be a crowd. I mean, although I think there will be a pretty good crowd, it's not going to be a packed house. But the fans are there going to be rowdy. Troy is going to be jacked because Memphis embarrassed them a little bit a lot, but they were terrible, so it's kind of on them. I just don't like the spot that this game is in, but I do think Memphis picks up the win. I just think it's going to be close. I could see it being neck and neck, 27-24 with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and Memphis gets a touchdown and wins by 10. And everybody looks at that and goes, oh, they won easily. But I just think it's going to be a close, hard-fought game because the challenge is going to be getting up for Chattanooga, a lesser opponent, getting up for Georgia State, a lesser opponent. Now you have your third perceived lesser opponent. Troy's going to be better.
Well,
can Memphis get up 3 weeks in a row?
And you've got Arkansas the next week.
That's where I was going because now Memphis sees, oh, it's Troy. Their eyes are on Arkansas. So we move to Saturday, September 20th. For the first time in when was the last time the Hogs?
It was the 90s. I was there.
So 95, 96, or 95? Was that the Ken Irvin game when he blocked the 4 punts? Was that the last time? Anyway, it's been a long time. So the Piggies come to town. What do they call it? The Sim? Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium is going to be rocking because it is going to be a packed house considering you only have, 30-ish thousand seats. It's going to be packed. If I were a betting man, I've had 3 people ask me, what time do you think the Arkansas game will be? If Memphis takes care of business, that's going to be your 11 a.m. ABC game. That's going to be your first game of the day. Maybe ESPN. That's going to be the game. Yeah. That's going to be the big game of the day to start off of what's going to be a big day of college football. Again, I got to get into the schedules to get into TV, but I think that's going to be because historically, right, the SEC game has been the 11. When Memphis has Mississippi State or Mississippi, it's been the 11 a.m. kick. So I think that's going to be an 11 a.m. kick. And Larry, I'm going to put you on the hot seat first for this one.
Well, and we talked about so much has to do with what happens the week before. If you have 3 cakewalk games, your confidence is going to be sky high. You're going to come in and you're going to, I think you can stay with Arkansas and let the chips fall where they may in the fourth quarter. If you have 2 close games, albeit wins at Georgia State and Troy, all of a sudden your confidence level going into Arkansas is a whole different beast. My gut is, first of all, Arkansas is not that good, but they're probably just on paper more talented than Memphis is. I'm sure they are. But I can totally see Memphis, depending on how they play, I could totally see Memphis winning this game, but I'm going to go with talent and just say that Arkansas wins a relatively close game.
Brian?
I'm going to say Memphis, being shocking that I'm being the homer pick here, but I always have a reason why. I'm going to say Gianni Spektic. I think that's his last name. Kicks a, let's just say 55-yarder to win it. Good old special teams, Larry's favorite unit there.
I like them when they work.
Brian. Come on.
But the reason, I mean, if you take a look at Arkansas's schedule, they have they're going to be at Ole Miss the previous week, and then they have
Almighty.
Notre Dame after Memphis.
And don't forget, they have a tough game with Arkansas State too before.
Yeah, but before
Talk about a game where a team's, and that's going to be in Little Rock. You're going to have a team that's fired up that gets a shot at Big Brother.
Arkansas State, Ole Miss, then Memphis. I if it goes the way I think, I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be, if it's on national TV, SEC at Memphis doesn't, the SEC doesn't fare well lately. So yeah, I say Memphis wins by a field goal.
Memphis is going to beat the hell out of Arkansas.
Get out of here.
I think it's going to be, and I'm not kidding, I think it's going to be woodshed because of a lot of things. Number one, that whole 11 a.m. thing. You better believe Arkansas is going to be fighting for like a 6 p.m. on ESPNU. Arkansas is not any good. They're going to be looking past Memphis, because they're going to go, oh, this is just Memphis. We've got Notre Dame, and then we've got a week off, and we've got Tennessee. We just had. I think this is another one of those cases, though, where it depends on the week before. When Lane goes down there and lays a whipping on them, they're going to lay down the next week because they don't have the right coach. They don't have the right mindset. They hired the wrong type of offensive line coach. They hired a meathead to be their head coach. And I just think Memphis is going to beat the doors off of them. I don't like Arkansas.
Hell, you're right.
And I think that, so let's see. All right, so we're sitting here. I've got Memphis 4-0. Brian's 4-0. Larry's the negative Nancy. He's got it 3-1. So I will start off the next week, which is Florida Atlantic. That's the egg. That's where I think Memphis lays an egg because they're going to be coming off of if Memphis is 4-0, they're going to be top 15, right? Like, especially if they are dominant those first 3 weeks. Let's say it's 63-7 over Chattanooga, 45-10 Georgia State, 38-3 Troy, 31-17 Arkansas. Memphis is going to be a top 20 team. They're going to be, and the P word is going to start going around. The rat poison, as Nick Saban calls it. I just think they're going to go into Florida Atlantic, and because this has the makings of like that. What is it? The ESPNU start like that 3 p.m. Eastern. Like it's like this weird time. It's going to be an empty stadium. I just think that's just I think they're going to lose either Troy or Florida Atlantic. I don't think they lose both, but I think one of those two is probably not going to go well because of where they sit on the schedule. And Arkansas has got the same issue, right? They've got Mississippi the week before and freaking Notre Dame the week after. So I feel like Memphis is good enough to beat Troy. I think they're good enough to beat Florida Atlantic, but this just feels like an O spot for me. So I think that's where Memphis falls to 4-1. Larry?
Again, if we look, I've got them losing to Arkansas, and so then I think you win this game, right? This got so much to do with what you were saying earlier, right? What happens when X? So we're all trying to project this out. Certainly, if we lose a close one to Arkansas, you're going to be sky high as far as confidence, and you go down, and I think you beat a middle of the pack Florida Atlantic team. You should win that game. So I've got them 4-1 coming out of that, which I think you do too.
Brian?
5-0.
5-0.
This is not where I mean, my best case scenario was 11-1, but this is not. In my opinion, this is not where they slip up. Yeah. It'll be a little bit later.
All right, moving on. Tulsa pays a visit to the Sim on October 4th. I've got Memphis winning that game handily. I just don't think Tulsa's very good. And I just think, regardless of what's happened before, Memphis is going to be ready to go for that one. So I've got Memphis moving to 5-1. Larry?
Same.
6-0.
Yeah, I say. Yeah, look, it better not be close.
No, it shouldn't.
Well, we said that about North Texas and Charlotte. That's one thing Memphis has struggled with is
Yep.
the ability to put their foot on somebody's neck, and Memphis gonna have to do a better job of that. All right, then Memphis gets probably a much needed breather. They'll get the bye week on the weekend of the 11th, and then they go to UAB on the 18th. Brian, we will start with you.
Easy win.
All right.
7-0.
All right.
I agree, and I think because this was the one team that we really did put our foot on their neck last year, if you'll recall. And
I think that's because everybody hates Trent Dilfer so much.
I, you know, so
He's
for those,
such an unlikable dude.
but for the young people that don't remember, he was the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, and this is
Raven.
in the late '90s, early 2000s, and they're playing a playoff game against Brett Favre and Green Bay Packers, and they go down. There's a coin toss. Back then,
No, you're getting Matt Hasselback and Trent Dilfer.
Oh, I am. You're right.
Yeah.
I am
Dilfer
sorry.
was
I'm
at
getting
the-
that Hasselback.
Yeah, Matt Hasselback famously said, "We want the ball. We're going to score."
That's
First
right.
pass,
You are
first
exactly right,
interception,
John. I sure did.
interception.
Well, they're both jerks, so I wasn't
Yeah,
wrong.
Dilfer's just so unlikable. That's anyway. All right, so
He makes it
Larry
hard,
and
doesn't
I, huh?
He makes it hard to like him.
He does. He makes things difficult. So Brian is our positive Paul at 7-0. Larry and I bringing up the rear at 6-1. Memphis comes home on October 25th and takes on the Bulls of South Florida. Brian,
This is where they lose. I think this is where they slip up. They should, in my opinion, they should be able to beat South Florida, but I think there's one game. To me, it's either this game or Tulane. But Tulane is a night game, uh, and I think this one will be a day game. Um,
Yeah.
I just feel there's a trap game, and I don't think it's going to be to a lesser opponent. Like something like a UAB or so, to me that much of a lesser opponent. But I do feel Memphis will slip up, and maybe it's overconfidence because if they're 7-0 at this point, I mean they're going to be ranked pretty high. There's going to be buzz about college football playoff. You're going to be that rep, and hopefully that the coaching staff can keep everyone focused. But yeah, I'll say this is where they lose.
Larry,
Agreed. This is a tough one. I like USF a lot this year. Um, you know, I know that they've been down, and I know that but they've always been a sleeping giant. They just never had the right coach, and clearly, I think they found something. Um, so yeah, look, Memphis could totally win this game, but I think some issues that you're going to start to see creep in this time of the year are some of the issues that we talk about depth, right? We talk about guys that weren't part of the two deep last year. Now are starting to have to play a lot because of injuries and things of that. So this is where you start to see the lack of experience.
this one's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes the way I think it does with a loss to Florida Atlantic, that makes it even harder because now you're going to be pressing. You don't have to press against UAB. You don't really have to press against Tulsa. This is your next hard game. I think Memphis wins. I still think they're good enough, but I think it's going to be a ridiculously tight game. It's going to be just one of those that, you're holding your breath. And what you said about the Arkansas game, I think that's how this one comes down is, a last second field goal or something like that. All right. So moving on to Rice on the 31st. Brian.
Yeah, easy win. They get back on track. To me, I think Rice's will be improved, but still should be at least a 17-point win.
Larry.
You don't lose to a side dish. You just don't. No, well,
Oh, I agree. I think Memphis moves to 8-1 on the year with that one. Um, the Wave, the Johnny Come Lately Green Wave that act like they are Alabama. Larry,
I've got Memphis winning this game. Um, I think this is going to be one of those deals where Memphis is still playing for something. We've lost a a conference game, and you're still playing for the conference. You've got and you're hyper focused, and this is I mean so this is where they come out and they win this game.
I agree. I think Memphis beats Tulane.
Yeah, me
Ron,
too. Yeah, because Tulane, this is where where you were talking earlier how a few teams can be tied at the end of the season. I think this game will be because Tulane just might be undefeated or at least have one loss. In conference, they have UTSA the week before Memphis. If they get by UTSA, then they lose to Memphis. There's their one loss. In my scenario, the one loss for Memphis was at home against South Florida. But then South Florida, their one loss because it looks like when you look at their schedule, they'll be undefeated in the conference. But then after Memphis, they have UTSA and Navy, so they could end up with one or two losses right there. So that three teams with at least one loss at the end of the season is very possible, and it just might be USF, Tulane, and Memphis. But at this point, yeah, I have a win for Memphis.
the worst placed game on the schedule is next, November 15th on Saturday. Oh, and the Tulane game is actually on Friday, and then the week, yeah,
Friday.
and Rice is on Friday as well. Back to back Friday games. Memphis goes to the place you have to mean to go, and that is Greenville, North Carolina, to take on the East Carolina Pirates. Larry, you're up.
Well, let me start by saying that any football schedule where you play at Troy, Alabama, and at Greenville, South Carolina, you
North
should be
Carolina is even
combat.
worse.
I, you just should. Like, there's just anytime you have to go play at those two schools, you should get something special. All right. I've got Memphis losing this game. I'm not going to lie. Memphis is going to. I think they look past East Carolina a little bit. East Carolina is much improved, and um, this is going to be a tough game. But I think it's going to be, as you put it, John. It's terribly placed on the schedule. And we're just I just don't know at this point, coming off a super high win at Tulane or versus Tulane, going on the road, that's just going to be and it is a tough place to play, by the way, assuming there's anybody that shows up.
Yeah, I just may mean to go there. And I think yeah,
Let's have it.
and I think Memphis. Yeah, I think Memphis wins this one. To me, I don't think there's a question. I'm sure it may be close or can be close in the first half, but I think depth. This is where Memphis depth will come in and show its force. So yeah, I see Memphis winning this one.
So you have a short week, and then on Thanksgiving night, the Naval Academy comes calling to the Sim.
Well, they have
Brian,
they have an off week,
oh, that's right. Yeah, you'll be off the week of the 22nd.
so yeah,
So
you have some time.
the Naval Academy comes calling on Thanksgiving night to the
This
Sim
is
and the Thanks Liberty
this
Stadium.
is where I think the Memphis players, especially the coaching staff, will remember last year,
Yup.
and I think Memphis will be up for this game because
Yup.
if Memphis wins this game, I think it pushes them into the American Championship game, and I think the Liberty Stadium will be rocking. I think it could be another sellout because I think Arkansas's will be a sellout. This may be a sellout, and yeah, with all the chips on the line, I think this is where the whole city of Memphis will rally around the team, and Memphis wins this one.
Does this feel like the Cincinnati 2019 before the AAC title game?
Hmm.
Where it was like game day, where everything just kind of came together, and it won't be game day, obviously, but just kind of like all the stars aligned. Or that was SMU, but that Cincinnati game right before the
Yeah.
AAC title game, where the stadium was just rocking and rolling. Larry.
I, Memphis wins this game for all the reasons that Brian just said. I know that I have us out of the conference, although I don't believe we're out of the conference championship. I think even though we lose to East Carolina, I think you're still dead in it. And I think John nailed it when he said it's very possible that the champion has two losses, or at least a participant has two losses. Memphis will remember the Alamo, as they say, and this will be Navy. We saw Navy sort of had some depth problems last year. That's historically what you see with the Naval Academy, and they're going to be looking ahead to that game against Army. So, guys, I've got Memphis winning this game fairly handily. I'll be honest with you.
I think Memphis wins. I don't think it's because it's never easy with Navy. It's just, but keep in mind, Memphis almost won last year.
Yep.
Memphis is driving to tie the game last year. And of course, we know what happens. But I think Memphis wins. So positive Paul has Memphis 11-1. Michael Moderate has Memphis 10-2. And negative Nancy Larry has Memphis at 9-3.
And so here's the
What
question: if my scenario comes to fruition, a 11-1 Memphis team, I don't see how Boise State, in my opinion, I think they'll be 10-2 because I think they'll lose to South Florida and they'll lose to Notre Dame. Even though Boise would be undefeated in their conference, let's say both Memphis and Boise win their conference, I think 11-1 Memphis gets in the college football playoff over a 10-2 Boise.
Assuming you win the conference championship
Yes.
game.
Yeah,
Nope.
both teams win the conference.
No shot. It ain't happening. Memphis, the winner of the American is going to have to be undefeated if Boise has one loss. That's
Well, Boise would have two losses. They would have lost to South Florida and Notre Dame. So 10-2 Boise or 11-1 Memphis.
it depends on how they play Notre Dame. Is that a 31-30 game? Is the South Florida game and back and forth? Because what you have is Boise's in the lead today. So Boise is going to have to legit play their way all the way out of it. They're going to have, I think, and we can have a fairness discussion. Let's hope we're having this discussion in November, December when the time comes. But I just think that the media is in love with Boise, and Boise is going to have to do something to undo that. And I still think that two close losses, because they're going to run, well, what is it Nick Saban likes to say, pardon the French, but he says, what's that? Run like shit through a tin can horn. Like, I don't even know what that means, but it's good enough for Coach Saban. It's good enough for me. They're going to run roughshod through the Mountain West. They're going to lay waste to them. But they do have, to your point, they have a trip to South Florida. They have a tricky game at home with App State. That's the week before Notre Dame. But then you look at the rest of their schedule. They get UNLV at home. Let's see. They go to San Diego State, but they get their home games. They get Eastern Washington, doesn't matter. They do go to Air Force, but I don't think Air Force is any good. They get App State at home. They go to South Bend. They get New Mexico at home. They get UNLV at home. They get Fresno State at home. I think those, and maybe Colorado State. So I think they get all the contenders at their place. I'm not saying it's rigged, but it definitely sets up better for them than it does anybody else. Because the problem you have if you're Memphis or you're the AAC champion, you can't slip up. You can't lose to Florida Atlantic because you can't recover from that. If you're Tulane, not that they would, you can't lose to Tulsa, right? Because you can't It's just like basketball, and it's the same scenario in the American with basketball with Memphis. You can't afford to lose to Rice. Why was Memphis a whatever seed? Well, they shouldn't have lost to Rice in East Carolina because you can't recover enough. Now, if Memphis woodsheds Arkansas and they run roughshod through the league and maybe have one hiccup, maybe we're having that conversation. But I think that Boise is going to have to play their way out of it versus where Memphis, Tulane, Navy, Army, UT, South Florida is going to have to play their way into it. That's the concern. Like you look at the polls, I think Boise's the only team ranked above Memphis from the group of five, or there may be another one. I don't look at receiving votes, but
I think Boise is ranked 23rd, I think, right now.
right. So you're already behind. You're already kind of behind the eight ball because the perception is the reality.
But that's what I'm
And
saying. If in my situation, when you lose to South Florida, you're knocked out of the top 25. And then when you lose to Notre Dame, if they climb back into top 20, you're out of the top 25 again. So with Memphis,
I guess Larry didn't like your pick. He's out of here.
he might. He's like, I had enough of this.
Yeah,
But it's going to be
I mean,
interesting. Yeah, my tagline. It'll be interesting.
it will. It will be. It will hopefully. This will be a very good problem to have if we're sitting here in November talking about playoff positioning and
Right.
what happens. That I greatly look forward to some extended disagreements between us.
Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Each year that you put yourself in the conversation, it becomes more comfortable for the public to accept you as part of that. And and that's the way this growth goes, right? What teams can't do is have 2 or 3 great years and then suck. You've got to be consistent. So every year, put yourself in the conversation. Have people talking about you. Hey, they could be. As long as that's happening, people begin to accept you more. And then when you do have a good year or you do have a slip up, maybe you get a little bit of that because they're like, yeah, but they're always there. The thing is, just be consistent. And I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that John's right. 10-2. I think if you're 10-2, you're in the conversation. I don't know that you make it, but you're in the conversation. If we're 10-2 with one conference loss, let's say, then you're playing in the conference championship game. You win that, and you're putting yourself at least in the conversation. You may not make it, but you're in the conversation. And guys, that's all you can do is every year put yourself there in with a chance. I tweeted this out the other day. I have to eat a little crow on Ryan. I've been wrong. I was wrong about him overall. And he's built it his way, and it's worked really well. And Memphis has been sustained. Did anybody think? And I'm being honest. If you would have said, not only are we paying players, we're openly paying players, and Memphis is not only able to be successful in that environment, but thrive. What would you have said to that?
Well, people roll their eyes. I think Memphis has the best recruiter in football. I am blown away.
I don't know about the best in football, but he's the best in the G5 for sure, and he's probably one of the top 20 in the country for sure.
Oh, I think he's much higher than that.
And
I watch him with the kids. That's the kind of stuff I pay attention to, and I understand why guys run through a wall for him. I think he's the best recruiter in the country because of what he's done. And Brian, you can speak to this more, but what he's done at a place like Memphis, as special as Memphis is, as sustained success, it's still a hard job. It's still hard to convince kids don't go to, because Memphis is beating out Illinois, North Carolina, and I'm just naming schools. They're beating out mid and upper middle class P5 schools for players. They've beat some big boys for some players. I just think Ryan's the best recruiter in the country. And I think Memphis has been blessed. Although last year, let's throw last year aside, Memphis went from the best play caller in college football to the best recruiter in college football. And I'm sorry, I feel that way about Ryan. Brian, I think he's the best in the country.
Well, I know there's some fans out there that, generally dislike Ryan, and I think I mean, when you break it down, and when I have conversations with the folks who dislike Ryan, they generally dislike Memphis football. So I think it's the
Right.
basketball only crowd
Yep.
that dislike Ryan, and they're quick to point out, it's like, well, he's not getting the talent that Mike Norvell did, and I'm quick to point out, well, guess who his lead recruiter was? Ryan Silverfield. Who got Obena Ize? Ryan Silverfield. Who got T.J. Carter? That both of them were 4-stars. Ryan. So yeah, I really. That's why I think Ryan will get a couple of interviews. Whether he leaves,
Right.
he leaves or not, who knows? But I mean, I've told people before, if anything happens to Greg Schiano, Ryan Silver has nothing to do with Jersey. Or I don't think he's ever been there, but besides, coaching for maybe like, Detroit playing New York or something like that. But I'd be like, Rutgers, give this dude a call. I mean,
Where's Hampton Sydney? Isn't that somewhere up there where he went to college?
was that Virginia though?
I think so. But anyway, close
Yeah.
enough. It's all the same. Virginia,
Yeah.
New Jersey, Delaware, it's all the same. All right. So, guys, next week, game week.
Yes! Finally.
Huh? Finally. It'll
Finally.
be
Game day.
But we'll have football on Saturday, and then you've got a full slate on Thursday. I think there's games Friday, Saturday. There's one or two Sunday, and then there's one on Monday because it's Labor Day weekend. So it's here. We will be here all season long, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central. Of course, you can subscribe on YouTube, follow everything there. Brian's on Twitter, Larry's on Twitter. Brian's on X, Larry's on X. I man the On3 Memphis X account. We're excited to be with On3. The transition has been amazing. And there are more huge announcements to come from the On3 team. I got an idea about something that we're going to talk about off air here, what I think might be the next one. But we will deal with that when we get there. But for the best co-host in all the land, Larry Marley, this is Brian Moss. This is John Maddox signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see everybody next week. C'est là qu'elle décide de plus me valider. Tu vendras jamais plus que tu